Earlier this summer, I hiked 2.5 miles into a forest to reach a tidal viewing area. Didn't see a soul the whole way until I reached my destination and saw that a man was already there. The vision of coming upon him in the clearing is so vivid in my mind that I wanted to open my post by mentioning it, simply because it really epitomizes the many mildly creepy encounters you have to face doing stuff alone. Anyways, the real creep story is this. I have a spot by the river in a park near my home. This particular day was forecasted to be one of the hottest days of the year, and I decided I was going to really settle in there for the day, as I have no AC at home. As I often go alone, it's close to home. I usually don't bring anything with me, but with the thought that I'd stay for some hours, I packed some snacks, water, my portable speaker, etc., into a bag and set off to my spot. It takes a couple of miles of walking to get there, but it's all on a popular trail, and this day was so busy. There were so many people out that I was worried my spot might be taken. It's only maybe 50 meters off the trail, but once you're there, the sound of the river really washes out the sounds of people on the trail, and you can feel a world away from civilization. I wadded myself into the water, set up my speaker, and honestly, was just enjoying myself very, very much. But oh, good things can't last, can they? I must have been there for almost an hour, when in the corner of my eye, I saw people walking behind me. This wasn't too alarming since I was only 50 meters off the trail, a very busy day. Before I could see them, I heard a woman say, "That's a great spot you have there, huh?" The moment I heard it was a woman, my guard went down somewhat. In retrospect, that was such an aggressive thing for her to say, but I was very committed to my plan of enjoying the day in my spot. So, without even turning to look at her, I just said, "Yep, sure is," and hoped that was that. It was not. They left but then came back. This time she asked, "Can I cross the river here?" Again, not wanting to really engage and still not facing her, I said, "I don't know." Over the next 30 minutes or so, I could hear her gather that they were hanging out by the fire pit behind me. I must be crazy, but I was still hung up on not being forced out of my spot by these interlopers. Finally, however, she came right up to the river and filled up her water bottle with the river water, directly down the river of my sunscreen-covered body, and took a swig. It was at this moment that I got a good look at her and realized she was a crackhead. Shit. Immediately I think of my bag of things, my portable speaker, my phone, hell, the chair I'm sitting/wadding in. As if reading my mind, she states, "I like your chair." Shit. I'm now planning my escape. I feel like jumping up and leaving at this moment will show some sort of weakness, so I stay. I'm suddenly much more aware and concerned about the man who accompanies her. After about 10 minutes or so, I hear him say that he's going to get something. I can't even remember what anymore. Cigarettes, maybe? I just remember. I knew that was my own cue to leave. Maybe I could get out of this without ever seeing him at all. As I leave and approach the trail, dread, I see him, Mr. Crackhead on his stolen bike, standing on the trail above me. It feels as if he was waiting for me, but he calls out to Miss Crackhead and tells her to come over. I immediately feel the urgency to go onto the trail before she arrives. Luckily, she is definitely a crackhead and can't find her way through the trees very easily. I climb up onto the trail, having to pass directly in front of him as he stares at me, and I make a sort of humming sound without thinking, but which seems to want to express to him that I am thinking. What happens next is why I still think about the incident and why I wrote this long-ass post. I walk away, and I really feel it's all over, for no good reason at all. I view the trail, which is eerily empty at this moment, as my salvation. So, I'm walking home, thinking about how I just escaped this situation, and I have this nagging feeling that I need to make sure I have my phone and keys. I knew that I did have them, and moreover, I know going back for them would be impossible. Anything left would be crackhead property by now, but I just had to check. I start to rifle through my bag as I'm walking, and in retrospect, this is what really saved me. I felt really uncomfortable going through my bag while walking. Even though I felt home free, I felt intuitively unsafe going through my bag while walking. So, I decided to stop looking until I got to a bench. As soon as I see one, I stop, and in the moment that I put down and reach into my bag, I realize there's someone behind me. Mr. Crackhead, on his bicycle. I don't even have time to react before he pedals away quickly. I wanted to scream something threatening at him, but decided to just count my lucky stars instead. I forced myself to stand there and watch him leave in case he turns around. He doesn't. It creeps me to this day that he followed me for that long and I didn't sense it at all. I just have that picture in my head of me walking and this absolute creep lurking behind me on his bike, like out of Grimm's fairy tale. Why did he pedal away? I can't be sure, but I have theories. One is that he thought I was pulling a weapon out of my bag when I was reaching for my keys. The other is that he was planning to grab my bag from behind, and when I stopped and saw him, it ruined his element of surprise. I lean towards the theory because crackheads are just like hyenas. Opportunistic cowards. I took my 2 dogs, a cane corso and a labradoodle, on a walk on a nature trail near my home. My car was the only car parked in the parking lot when I arrived, so no one else was on the trail. The trail ahead was only has one entrance, and the trail has thick forest on either side of it. My dogs and I started walking, and maybe 3/4 of a mile in, a man on a bike approached me from behind. I moved to the side with my dogs to let him pass me, and when he did, my cane corso lunged toward him. I held her back, but that was unusual behavior for her. Around 5 minutes after the biker passed me, he passed me again, going the other way toward the exit, and again, my dog lunged at him. I thought it was extremely odd that he decided to turn around so quickly, since he couldn't have gone much more than a mile, which seems like an extremely short bike ride. He was dressed in biking gear and had a professional bike. It just seemed like he turned around very quickly after he saw me. I decided to stop and let my dogs rest, and I FaceTimed my boyfriend to tell him about my odd encounter. My boyfriend agreed to stay on the phone with me while I walked back because I felt unsafe. Then, my dogs and I turned around and started heading back to my car. About half a mile into our trip back, both of my dogs lunged at something inside the tree line, off to the side of the trail. They barked and growled and tugged on their leashes towards the area of the tree line. I did not see anything there, but my dogs definitely sensed something. We moved on and made it to the parking lot, and I saw one other car there, with that man's bike hanging on the bike rack, on the trunk of the vehicle. Once I got closer to the car, I realized no one was inside. I have a bad feeling that man had very bad intentions. I think that he biked back to his car after seeing me, walked to that spot on the trail and hid in the woods to do who knows what. Then, had second thoughts because I was on the phone with my boyfriend, and I had 2 big dogs with me. It makes me sick thinking about it. I'm open to other explanations if anyone can think of one. I want this just to be an innocent encounter, just a misunderstanding on my part. But it feels sinister, and I feel like my dog sensed his energy from the start. This situation had made me realize that walking alone on a rural trail, even with 2 big dogs, is not safe for me. This happened when I was probably 13 or 14, sometime around 2013. I live in a very small town, no stores, not even a gas station, population less than 1,000 in New England. My friend and I, after a day of school, decided to take a walk on an old trail behind my house. This trail goes on for miles and crosses several states, almost in a perfect line. These days, it is not in use and there are not even train tracks anymore, just a long path. That being said, many people in town use it for walks, bikes, and riding horses, etc. Anyway, on this day, we decided to take a walk, which we rarely did. So, we walk up behind my house and start walking down the trail. We probably make it a mile and then turn around to head back. While heading home, one of our topics of discussion was horror movies. We both got a little spooked thinking about all the scary stuff, but it wasn't like we felt truly unsafe and scared in that moment. It was just the thoughts. Because of those scary thoughts, I felt a need to turn and look behind us. Behind us, about 100 feet, I see a man walking, wearing a long black coat, trench coat-like. He's also holding something in his hand. The second he sees me, turn my head and look at him, he begins sprinting towards us. I say to my friend, "Run!" She turns to look and, well, we fucking ran like our lives depended on it. We ran all the way home and went to my barn, which is at the top of the hill on my property, so it was the closest safe place in relation to the trail. Still, to this day, no one has believed us, but there was just something off. Could he have been just another jogger resuming his run after a break? I guess so, but why the long coat? And what was he holding? Like I said, my town is extremely small. There's absolutely no crime here, so it may have been hard for others to believe there were any malicious intentions. But like I said, it felt wrong, and the way he just began sprinting towards us when I saw him still haunts me to this day. He just looked menacing.